everyone. Welcome to Shake Up Groton, show number 9. It's been a long time since we've had a show. I believe it was last Halloween. I had my costumes on. And I haven't had a show, truthfully, because there hasn't been anything to talk about. But the elections are coming up in November for the town council, so we're back in gear again. Except a few things have happened, not good things. The nice little Filipino restaurant out front here is shut down. Garbro Lobsters went out of business. The Mexican restaurant by the post office shut down very recently. And Lazy Boy, across the street from the studio, is gone. So we have more empty storefronts. What's new? I want to tell you, this is probably one of the most complex shows we've ever had. And you'll see, so bear with us, because it's the first time. It'll be a surprise. We're going to do something in the end of the show, and so if it doesn't work, please bear with us. Remember, these shows are not edited. They are live. I mean, they're not live, but we don't edit them, so please bear with it. I'm not going to go give repeat dates, because we don't know them yet of the show. I normally give dates, but please pay attention to the schedule on the SETV, and you will see. This is going to be quite a long show, so if you want to watch it in 2 parts, you're perfectly welcome. We have our mascot, Charlie the Bull, here with us tonight. You can see he's still got his blindfold on, because I don't think this council has vision, no better than the last one. You can see that the bull represents the town of Groton, the state of Connecticut, and my name is on the bullfighter. I'm the lady bullfighter there, trying to tame this bull that needs controlling still. So again, you can watch this show anytime on YouTube at your leisure. You don't have to watch at the designated times, which we don't know what they are. I could use help with this show. There's a lot to do, from knowing how to use Photoshop to getting behind the camera. If you're interested in that type of thing, you can see at the bottom of the screen. My email address is shakeupgroton@gmail.com. I'm also thinking about doing a totally different show about kitchen stuff, not a political show. My more passion than this is kitchen stuff, is cooking. So that is a show, a fun show that I'm looking at doing. So if you want to help, email me. I don't have an email address yet for that new show, because I don't want to give the title of it away. But email me at shakeupgroton@gmail.com too. So as I said, we're voting on a new council this coming November, and tonight's show will be focusing on the very challenging issues facing those running for council. This new council will have a very tough time, in my opinion, if they're going to accomplish anything. I would like to do another show on economic development before the elections, so stay tuned. This show is going to have a lot of the economic development stuff, so I'm going to repeat some of it in the next show. And to me, the hot and only topic you should base your vote upon is the person knowledgeable. Vote for people who are knowledgeable and experienced enough to understand and help provide leadership to rebuild our economic development capabilities. Groton has, and you're going to see that in this show, a lot of problems economically. And our survival in the future hinges on being able to turn this town around economically. In that vein, I have a guest on tonight, and I'm very happy to have him. I think he's the youngest councilor that Groton has ever had at 25 years old. His name is Aundre Bumgardner. Welcome to Shake Up Groton, Aundre.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming. I don't think he could get any of his other Democratic compadres on, so we're happy to have Aundre by himself, right? So as I said, Aundre is a very young guy. He's 25 years old. He lives in the city of Groton, right? And he claims that he pays his mother rent, so I assume he is a taxpayer in Groton, but I don't think he's a real big taxpayer. He said to me, his education, he has some college time locally, and I believe he works up in Hartford. And tell us a little what you do in Hartford.
So I work for the state treasurer.
Okay.
So he's State Treasurer Sean Wooden.
Right.
He was elected this past election,
Oh, that's
2018.
not a secretary seat that the governor appoints? That's an elected position?
No, correct.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And one thing that's very interesting about the state treasurer is that they're here in Connecticut, is that he is one of the very few in the country that has the role of being the sole fiduciary, meaning that he has the last say in the investments for the state of Connecticut as investments into the where. For example, we have the teachers' retirement fund
Right.
and the state.
The thing that's a mess.
Right, the state
That's
employees,
his
absolutely.
bailiwick.
We're both funds vastly underfunded.
Okay.
So he invests those funds that
Okay.
were obviously are for the pension funds, and
Right.
also issues debt,
Okay.
and in
Right.
addition to running the kind of unclaimed
Well,
property.
we all got too much of
So,
all of that.
yeah.
In Connecticut. So you were never elected to the council, right?
Correct. So I filled the vacancy for Rich Moravsik.
Yeah.
And he...
He was a real go-getter. I'm saying that sarcastically. Didn't do much for Groton, okay? So let's hope that you're a little more productive for Groton.
Well, and as soon as he left, I filled that vacancy, but, since last spring.
Right.
So
you
I've had it.
voted on the last budget?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Not the first budget?
Correct.
Okay. And may I call you Aundre?
Yes, you absolutely.
Okay, and you may call me Gretchen, okay?
Perfect.
All right, Aundre. I'm not a real formal person. Okay, the show has 3 parts, okay? And I'm going to be providing, as I often do, I'm a very data-driven type of person, and the first part
We'll
is
get to that, by the way.
To what?
Not data.
Okay.
Because I think right now, and we'll talk about it, but Groton doesn't maintain a pool of data or an inventory in a way that is accessible to the public.
Well, I have no trouble getting it. I get everything I ask for. I do give credit to Cindy, the head of finance.
But you have to ask.
Of course I have to ask.
And we'll get to that.
Yes, I have to ask.
We'll get to that.
Well, we got a lot to do.
I know.
We got to look at the big picture.
So let me know
That's
when we
the little
can.
picture. No, we may not. So part 1 is going to talk about the economic direction Groton's gone in the last 2 years. And then part 2 is about economic development, which is bringing in money into Groton, very important. Part 3 is examples of how this Democratic Council has handled itself. I'm not done with that. And I want to tell Aundre that I recognize you have not been a counselor the whole time, but you have been for quite a while. So I'm not going to blame everything on you, okay? Because it's not fair, okay? And 2 of the counselors, I just want to confirm, existing, Rita Schmidt and Conrad Heat are not running, correct? Okay. I don't know. We're not going to get into, that's the next show. I don't know who's running. I don't need to know at this point. All right. We're going to get off track, divert a little bit. Last show, I showed that I had been arrested by the town of Groton. Are you aware of that? No, from your sound of things. So I was arrested by Chief Fasaro. He was very involved for misuse of plates for a trailer I had in front of my house. I was buying a trailer. I've been through this on the show. You should watch my old shows. And I was buying a trailer, making payments on with the owner from Michigan, okay? And I was arrested for this, and wrongly. And this is what happens to you folks when you speak up in Groton. You get arrested. So, and it was back in December. The dates are very important. 2008. It was 2 days after Christmas, December 2018. So let's 1A, please. So just recently, I transferred the ownership I became the owner of the trailer. The date is in red, 7/30, that was just a few days ago, or a month ago, end of last month, I became the owner of the trailer. So I was not the owner when I was arrested, so it was properly plated back then because I didn't own the trailer. If I had put a Connecticut plate on it and didn't, and had put a Connecticut plate on and didn't own it, that would have been theft. So let's, number 1B, please. And I'm going to be calling out for the control room all these exhibits. So you can see that it just got registered a few days ago on, it's 8/29 of a few days ago. It just got, or 26, I can't see it, just got registered. So I want to ask, and we're not going to dwell on this subject, do you think it's right, Aundre, that somebody gets arrested who speaks up, as I do, when they are buying something and they are making payments on it, and then they get accused? I wasn't asked if I owned the trailer. I was just arrested. And this is bad, Aundre, and I want you to be aware of it. Apparently you're not aware of it, and that's not good, because I believe I've mentioned it to the council, in front of the council, that I was falsely arrested. So do you think I should sue the town when I'm exonerated? Because I will be with this, because I didn't own the trailer then. The court has agreed to drop the charges. So do you think that's right, that the town should go around arresting people wrongly?
Well, I'm not going to speak to that, but
Yeah,
what I
don't
will
tell me
speak
you're
to-
not involved, but it's wrong, okay?
What I will speak to is no one should be arrested
That's
for
right.
exercising their First Amendment right.
That's right. Well, this has nothing to do with First Amendment. This is to do with ownership of a piece of property. When you don't own it, you don't have the plates on it from that it belongs to you, because it doesn't, okay? And this is wrong, and this has to be brought up with the council. And I've done more investigating, found out that this came through Leon Aundre, okay, Councilor Aundre, okay? So I just want to bring it up here. It's wrong, and I want you to be aware of it. I think you are, and you haven't answered my question. The question is, should I sue the town? Because that may happen, all right? And this is all connected to this show. All right. I'm going to read you something. Let's get rid of this. Get this paper. And I'm going to read to you excerpts from something that you should be very aware of. And it's and so this whole thing I'm going to read, I'll tell you when I'm ending, is a quote from someone that you know. While increasing revenue for the town will continue to be a primary goal, growth will not prevent an increase in the mill rate without making other changes. The town has many challenges facing it over the next few years. Some of these challenges include the state will continue to move costs currently funded by the state to the towns. An example being a shift in a portion of teacher pension payments to Groton to towns in Governor Lamont's proposed fiscal year 2020-21 budget. State grants will likely continue to decline. Town health care and retirement costs will continue to increase in current benefits. Recent information from the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities that if Groton schools were to cease to be an alliance district, which is expected to happen in a few years, it currently estimated that we would lose over $4.7 million annually in education cost sharing. Means our taxes would go up, all of a sudden bump up by $4.7 million. Unbelievable. The town has an extensive list of needed projects in the fiscal year 2020 to 25 capital improvement program. It will need to make some tough decisions on which ones to fund. Examples include 2 bridges. The town council needs to make a decision to either fund repair of the bridges or else make the decision to close them permanently. With its current configuration of services and departments, the town cannot afford to continue to cut positions that it has done in the past while expecting to maintain those services. The town does have a lot of potential construction likely to occur over the next few years, with a prime example being electric boat, but the resulting tax revenues will be stifled for a number of years, either 5 or 10 years, depending on the state award, due to the likelihood of being granted in an enterprise zone designation. While very welcome news, the revenue cannot be counted on to meet all of the town's financial goals, even when combined with other prospective construction projects. Bear with me. This is a little bit of a long thing. The town council and the community must decide what we are going to be. We must come to a shared vision. Without parks, libraries, and other similar services, the town will suffer and never realize its full potential, but we also cannot afford to continue to provide our services in the manner that we have. We must all be open to new and creative ways to work together to achieve our ideal community. The town needs to look at the following to help meet its goal of maintaining services without significantly increasing the mill rate. Town has to earnestly engage with other entities to enter the cost-sharing opportunities and regionalization. Employee benefits can no longer be afforded at their current levels. The town must seek smarter ways to provide benefits that continue to meet the commission commitment to the employees while creating savings for the town. We need to analyze the departments to find whether there are better ways to structure them to provide service at a lower cost or to review services that are not mandated. Move away from funding items that are not related to the provision of town service. So, and then this is his philosophy. The adopted budget includes over $1 million in fund balance to prevent a rise in the mill rate. Some fund balance use, while maintaining a 15% fund balance is acceptable, but the $1 million is not sustainable. Changes need to be made to the current and future budgets and keep this in mind. Excuse me. Either adequately fund the infrastructure that it has, or else make the decision to abandon those items. My intent entering into the budget process was to cut outside agencies to better meet the needs of town departments. However, the town council restored those cuts, which was subsequently upheld by the RTM. My future focus will be to seek out inefficiencies, especially through cost-sharing opportunities rather than through budget cuts. Do not take on new projects or service without significant discussion on the cost to maintain those items and the benefits to be gained. So who do you think wrote this?
John Burt,
That's right. Who is what?
our town manager.
Right. Now, if the Federal Reserve wrote a review of the state of the economics of the country, I guarantee you after they said that the stock market would crash the very next day, and we would be in a very big recession, if not depression. So this is a warning flag from Mr. Burt, quite a serious one. Okay. Well, so let's bring up 1C. I just want to prove to the audience that that is what I read from. Okay, so that's like equivalent to what a CEO would write in a year-end report for his company, his or her company. Okay, and it's a very, and John Burt is not a very outspoken kind of guy, in my opinion, but that's a very serious report. He touched on many issues in his report, but he left a few out that I think are just as critical. And I'm going to get to them. The cost of this school we're building, and I'm going to talk about that, will strangle us. Okay. He talks about the town cannot continue to make spending cuts, but he never mentions that our citizens are stretched to the max to pay more and thus cannot survive more tax increases. He doesn't talk about that. He does say we can't increase the mill rate. We shouldn't depend on that. And I'm going to give several quotes here. One quote, "Great thoughts speak only to the thoughtful mind, but great actions speak to all mankind." Teddy Roosevelt, okay? Next one's another quote by somebody in modern times. Quote, "Connecticut does not have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. Government spending is out of control, and our state employee and teacher pension plans are underfunded by a whopping $100 billion. No city, state, or country has ever been able to tax their way to prosperity. It simply doesn't work. We have to face up to the tough decisions and restructure our costs now. Bob Stefanowski. Okay? And you mentioned, and you could replace Connecticut with the town of Groton in what he says. And he does say that no town can tax itself out of trouble. Okay? I'm going to read my own quote here. Okay? This is Gretchen Chipperini's statement. Quote, I have seen nothing in the past 2 years except efforts to get rid of straws, weed, pesticide, further reducing resident public input, and keeping a boat on your own property. We keep staff that is way underperforming while giving out huge raises for doing nothing out of the ordinary and not increasing taxes when in actuality you just kick the can down the road. Your only efforts to bring increased income to Groton is to press the easy button, which is to uncreatively bring in more apartments as opposed to less costly, more superior in income to the town, mixed use, medical, and retail as towns around us have successfully done. Even to the non-real estate expert has understood that apartments are very short-term band-aids to putting Groton back into a track of prosperity we had for many decades. It is simply smoke and mirrors, as is your false image to hold spending down to give the short-term image of accomplishment. This council has not made any tough decisions in the past 2 years to begin the process of getting Groton onto a much sounder economic foundation, which is essentially what the town manager strongly recommended, end quote. In this show, I will be focusing on what I said there, all the aspects of my statement. And that's, I hope Aundre can comment as we go. So number 2, please. The next exhibit I have shown, number 2, okay, this is from the Finance Department. This is the budget you just voted on, 100, well, not just, the RTM approved it after you folks, the 129 million, I'll just call it 130 million for discussion purposes. That's an increase of 2.54%. The previous year, which I can't blame you for, but it's your fellow Democrats, did a nearly 6% increase, okay? And that in total is an 8.39% increase in 2 years. Certainly doesn't fit with what the town manager said and warned about. I'd like to know, Aundre, do you think many residents have gotten increases like this in your pay? Does the state of Connecticut give you pay increases like this in your job?
No.
No, okay. But we're giving Groton increases like this. Did you vote for this, yes, for this budget?
I did vote yes on this budget.
But you voted no on the school budget.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's a start, because that's like 85% of the budget. So that's a start. But I don't know how you can vote down one and vote the other in. I don't get it, okay? Because one is a huge part of the other. So it doesn't make much sense to me, Aundre. And I'm going to show you that these increases are almost 3 times the cost of living increase in New England, which doesn't make sense. And as Bob Stefanowski said, we have a spending problem. We definitely do, which makes a chance in getting out from under anything impossible, okay? When I was growing up in Groton, I grew up here. I don't know if Aundre knows this. Anything over 1% was unheard of as a budget increase. Unheard of. No, it never happened. What's going on? And why didn't you? We had a 2.54 increase this year, but you didn't go up in the taxes. So that means we call that kicking the can, because something's got to pay for that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's an election year. This is the old political trick. In the election year, we borrow from the future, and we'll talk about that. Okay? Number 3, please. All right. You can see, I'll explain this graph. It's very, very interesting. This is showing where the greatest and lowest increases in income data, comparing our area, Groton, to the surrounding towns. So anything towards the left in blue is where incomes are increasing, to the right they're decreasing. So you can see Groton to London is right in the white part. It's in the middle. Okay, so we are not going anywhere. Our citizens are staying the same, but they have to have, in the last 2 years, an 8.39% increase. That means that that's 8.3.9% less money in their pocket, okay? And that is not sustainable, okay? And Groton residents are losing the capability to earn as compared to surrounding towns. And I'm going to be showing another chart in the future that I show the same thing internal to Groton. What areas of Groton are increasing and decreasing. We'll get to that. Okay, number 4, please. All right, Groton population. Okay, we've got so many things coming at us, Aundre, that it's frightening. All right, so back in 1990, not that old, really long ago, we had 45,000 people. I remember when we had 50,000, 49,000 people here, because I've been here all my life. And now we're down, we've lost, in my lifetime, we've lost almost a quarter of our population, okay? Bad, this is bad, bad. So since 1990 to 2007, we don't have the newest census data, we've had a 16% decline in our population. And it's a double-edged sword, because you're expanding the budget every year in these astronomical amounts, it means that less of us have to pay this bigger piece of the pie chart. So it's a double-edged sword, meaning the pie is getting bigger, and each of us has to pay a bigger piece of that pie, okay? Because there's less of us. So this is serious business, okay? So, number 5, please. This is my favorite chart. I think I have showed this chart in every single show. It's the grand list versus the budget. And if you take Economics 101 about town government, about any government, when the grand list is going down and the budget or spending is going up, when they're going in opposite directions, it is not sustainable. This cannot survive. And I think the town manager clearly is saying essentially this problem. This is a concept that no council has grasped. And I had hopes for the Democratic group that's in now. I had 2 of you on before the elections. I think I showed this chart then. And they've done nothing, nothing. They've gone up over 8% in the time they've been in office. So nothing. Do you know what ostriches do, Aundre? Do you know what they do?
They put their heads in the
That's
sand.
right. And why? When they see danger, right? Well, this council is an ostrich, and they get their butt shot off because they think when they don't see it, the danger, that the danger goes away. Well, I'm going to call this the ostrich council because they got our butt is in the air with this incredible spending and increases and things, but they don't pay any attention to it. Instead, you pay attention to straws. You pay attention to our center of Groton looks horrible with the weeds. We need to get some weed killer. I know it's State Road, Route 12, but it looks terrible. This is what you spend your legislative time on, not on things that are serious. We have an atom bomb going off here, and you're paying attention to straws, okay? And I know Conrad Heed was a big proponent of that, and I think you were. We got more important things to deal with, okay?
They're not mutually exclusive. But.
Okay, number 6. The news doesn't get any better.
All right.
Okay, I've shown this chart many, many times, and this is something you should be very familiar with. I could put the state on here. Maybe it'd be steeper than this chart. But we're in trouble, too, with pension liabilities. And the town manager talks about this. He says we got to change. So we have to have better negotiating with the unions. We never lay anybody off in Groton. You can work for Groton. If you do a terrible job, you still have a job in Groton. I think you have to murder somebody to get laid off in Groton. This is not good. We should go to a merit-based system. This is something our town manager, who I'm not happy with either. I've held back on commenting him. He should be clean. He never cleaned house when he came, and there's a lot of cleaning to be done. The town's priorities has to be the residents, not the employees. That's what the town is, their servants to, is the residents, not to the employees. Okay, number 7. This is a chart I've shown. This is the scariest chart that I have. And Aundre, before the show, we were talking about Hartford's mill rate, okay? So by 2025 years, our mill rate, just by that school construction, you saw the population numbers. Children are going down in Groton. So the average mill rate is gone up. It will be going up in the next 25 years, 1.25 million a year. That's unbelievable. Just to stand still, we got to increase our mill rate. 1 mill is $5 million. So that's a $6.25 million increase in the grand list we have to make every year to keep our taxes the same.
Where did you get
These
this?
are huge.
Where did you get
It's
this?
from the finance department. Okay? This all my data comes from the town itself. Groton reminds me of a ball balancing on top of a pyramid or a cone. Okay? And that point's getting finer and finer as you keep burdening us with more and more things. And if a wind comes by, that ball's going to fall off. So we're not prepared for a rainy day at all. That we're balanced. Groton is, the analogy is the ball. Mohegan Sun, they got into financial trouble. They stopped construction of their hotel there. We can't, this school is unnecessary. This school, I've made that prediction, is what is going to put Groton into bankruptcy. Because we cannot afford that chart that I just showed you. It's a terrible burden. This is scary. That chart scares me the most of anything. Next, number 8. Okay. This is unbelievable. These are the 6 percenters, I call them, the 6% club. These are employees, most of them are head of departments, that have all just got a 6% increase, on top of salaries that were already very high. This is an example where John Bird is talking the talk but not walking the walk, okay? In other words, he himself is not doing what he preaches. He's talking on both sides of his mouth. I want to point out, look at his pay, $171,000 for a town manager of not a really big town. Pretty small town, okay? The CPI, I don't know if you all can read that in blue, is 1.58. CPI is a package of goods and how much it costs to buy that same package of good every year. It's only gone up in New England. There's a New England index, 1.58%. The average over the period from 15 years ago to now, for these people is 2.75. There's 3. I can't see it. This is. I have it right here. This is unbelievable. 2.7. I'm sorry. It's 3.73. That's the average that these people's incomes have gone up, these positions in the last 15 years. While the cost of living in the same time period is only going up 1.5%. When you get an increase more, this is basic economics, management of an entity. When you go up more than the cost of living, you better have employees who are doing something spectacular to help pay for that. There is no reason that of any spectacular. Matter of fact, I'm going to be pointing out where there's no spectacularness. It's the performance is poor, but you give them wages. I'd like to know. This question's never answered. What have these people done that has made them deserve to get these 6% increases? I don't understand. I can't find it. What? You haven't gotten in your pay up in Harvard that kind of increase. And John Burt, he's the king of the hill. He's getting he's gotten 5% increases the 3 years he's been here. What has this guy done? When Offring was, he got paid like $140-some thousand. This guy's gotten a $30,000 increase in the last 3 years. Remember, I don't know if you were he wanted to leave when he first got it. I don't know if that was the previous council or not. We should have let him go. Let people go. If they whine, and a lot of it is just posturing too. Let them leave. We would have saved a lot of money if he had left. But the council panics. You panic. There's always more people to hire. Apparently this council, I understand that these employees threatened that they would leave, and apparently they got this council's number because you haven't stood up to it. And I want to remind the council that this manager getting 171,000 has an assistant too, Bob. I forgot Bob's. You probably know Bob's last name. There's more money being thrown at him, not managing the town. There's two kinds of managers. There's torchbearers and there's change managers. And John Burt, I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's definitely a torchbearer. We need a change type of manager in Groton. He is just not the right type of skill set for Groton. We need somebody with chutzpah, wisdom, vision, creativity. John Burt is the furthest from that type of person. It is a big mistake. This council didn't hire him, but you certainly could have gotten rid of him. Fazzaro, obviously, he's somewhat of a cowboy. I don't know, he arrests everybody. It's very known that Groton has so many arrests, you can't be a cowboy. So I'm going to go through the next part 2 of the show. I'm going to go through the ED economic development increase in their salaries. So the next data that I'm going to say begs me to ask this council what planet you're living on. Let's bring number 9 up. This is from ZipRecruiter. This data just came out August 9th, 2019. The annual pay for a town manager in Connecticut is $66,964. You can do a Google search and bring the same chart up that I did. That average is very close to what the federal is. John Burt gets paid higher than the highest that shows on this chart, $127,000. I don't get it. What planet this council is on? I mean, what the heck are you folks doing?
Gretchen, I think that number is a bit off. I think one.
Well, then go call ZipRecruiter and argue with them. I trust ZipRecruiter.
Well,
okay?
no,
That's the business they're in. They find executives. That's their job. Okay.
But perhaps their algorithm takes into account other jobs. Manager and putting the word town and manager together. But I think one resource that I think would be best to utilize is the CCM. They have a large amount of data and information with respect to municipalities.
He doesn't deserve a salary of $171,000 with the performance he's had, without looking at ZipRecruiter, without looking at other comparative areas. He doesn't deserve that kind of number.
I'm just saying the pay of a professional manager is within the range of what he is being paid.
I gave you the data, folks. You can go look it up yourself. Okay, so I'm going to review the economic position we're in. The town manager has read the riot act to this council, right? You agree, okay? And you have not responded with any viable efforts to cut spending or gain efficiency like joining with the city. No discussion, hasn't even begun. B, you have generally stolen from Peter to pay Paul. When you went up on our spending by a number nearly 2 times the CPA for this past, more than that, 3 times the year before, but I can't blame you. But you have not covered the spending with tax increases, which I don't want, so you kicked the ball down. So if you win again, you're going to have to deal with it next year.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah, well, we're going to get hit big time. I have already shown that Groton residents are not increasing their incomes. We're going downhill. I don't think anybody thinks about that when compared to other towns in the area. Our population is in decline, so that means that more of us are going to have to pay more of this increasing budget. The grand list and spending are moving in opposite directions, a sure formula for disaster for any community. Pension liabilities, as with the state, are not sustainable, will continue to be another breeze that will push on the unstable ball. This council has done nothing to get Balfour Beatty. I did whole shows on Balfour Beatty, Oddfellows. We're losing probably close to $8 million in taxes between Balfour Beatty not paying taxes, Oddfellows not paying taxes, and that knowing school property that you seem to protect. This is disgraceful, okay? Before you spend money on the school, before you vote on the school, you should have made sure you had the monies to pay for it. And these would have compensated. Those 3 would have paid for this school, okay? You should have gotten your house in order. You build a foundation to a house before you build on the foundation. You gave 6% raises. 6% raise. Folks, how many of you has gotten a 6% raise out there? Nobody. Unheard of in the real world, okay? You have made John Burt one of the highest paid town managers, I would guarantee you, in the state, with no accomplishment from him. Nothing. Nothing has changed since Mark Oeffinger has been here. And you've kept him on, and he doesn't have the right skill set. Not a bad guy. We need a turnaround person, not a maintainer. You haven't done anything to correct that. You're scared. You're all scared, okay? So that's the end of the economic status of Groton that I have. So I'm going on to the economic development part of the show. And let's bring number 9B up. So this part 2 is about EDC, economic development, and how it's so important. Now, do you agree, Aundre, that we got to kick up economic development in Groton?
Absolutely.
Okay, you agree
Absolutely.
with that? And what is
in every corner of town.
Every corner. Well, you and I agree with that. So there's 5 people who work on economic development. They cost us $500,000 a year, each of them. They've been here, this team's been together for about 5 years. Oh, Mark Oeffinger formed it. The head of it is John Reiner, okay? And the sole purpose of economic development is to increase the grand list. That's their whole purpose in life, is to get income coming in, but responsible income, not just do anything stupid. In the past 5 years, their salaries have increased 2.76%. And few of them are on the 6% club, okay? So they're getting more than that. There's something wrong with this picture, because if you look at this chart, the grand list in the same time period where they got a 2.76% raise, the grand list went down by 0.787%. So remember, their job is to increase the grand list. It's done nothing. 5 years is enough time, okay, to have been done something productive. This is my expertise. 5 years is enough time to have projects in the work. Nothing. And I'm being told, oh, there's going to be big surprises. Okay? And I want to tell you, John Reiner's example of his negotiating abilities is unbelievable. He said to me once, he said, you know, I'm a great negotiator. He says, I wanted a surfboard. This is John Reiner. He loves surfing and mountain biking and all this stuff. And so I gave the guy an offer. I started walking out. You know, he wanted 800. I offered him 500, for example. And I started walking out, and the guy gave in. You know, we're talking millions and millions of dollars here, and that's his best crack at being a negotiator? I don't think so. I don't think so, Aundre. We are lacking in capability there.
Well, I'm going to interject here.
Go ahead.
You know, one thing that I've always tried to do, you know, in town, and you know, as a state rep, and certainly on the council, is that you need to start with a conversation. You need to get to know someone.
But we don't have time, okay? You got to start thinking like a business person, Aundre.
Time?
You got to have. We have no time. Time
you
is
know what?
going by, and nothing changes.
But what do we have
Okay.
right now? We have the status quo.
Yeah, status
Time
quo.
ain't going
Change
anywhere.
the status quo.
So absolutely,
Okay.
but in order to change the status quo, Gretchen, it starts with a conversation, just like this.
Have you had the conversation with him? Okay? You gave him a 6% raise, so I guess you've had a conversation. You think he's doing a bang-up job. You think the whole team is. They're getting twice what the cost of living increase is. Remember, anything above the cost of living means you got to have done something exemplary. And your amount that you bring into Groton should pay for that increase. That's how it works in the real world. That's how it works in the for-profit world, okay? We need, and I'm going to tell you, we got 5 people. We only need 3, but we need 3 really good people. I'm not complaining. I think ED is worth spending money on. I'm not against the 500,000, but you got to have good people, okay? So we need a person who's a leader, who comes from the commercial real estate world, okay? Has connections, has charisma, has chutzpah, has negotiating ability, has marketing ability, okay? Type A personality, workaholic, has negotiated real deals in their life, not just for a surfboard, okay? When you go with these developers, let me tell you, they're a tough bunch. I know a lot of them. They would crush them, okay? John Reiner. Then we need somebody from the finance world who can help to line. The biggest hindrance to a project is getting money for it, okay? So if we could get somebody who's did lending in the banking world to projects, in the commercial world, real estate world, that would, if we could help them get financing and have connections. Connections is the whole world of economic development. And the third person should be an artistic type, a marketer who can draw up stuff on the internet, can put packages together to market these properties, do drone videos and put that into the package. Somebody of that kind of nature, okay? So, and they got to work and sync together. Matter of fact, somebody who's good will have a team already. They came from something, they'll know people. Okay, that's the thing. You know, John Burt came here, he didn't bring anybody.
If I can interject,
Go ahead.
you know, in New London, this past year they launched.
I'm going to interject.
I
New
know.
London's no example of doing things well, okay? So that's a terrible comparison.
Well, I'm going to say
Okay.
there's a welcome change in New London. They followed your advice, and they
Okay.
launched a website where you can access the various properties that are being marketed in town.
Okay, but
And-
that, I don't
but
know.
I'm
That
just saying
doesn't do it. You got to know developer. You got to have very rich people to convince them to come here. Marketing to you and I isn't. We're not in that category. I don't think you are. I'm not. Okay.
I don't know. Somehow
That's
I got
not how it
elected.
works. You're not a developer.
No.
okay? So
I mean,
that's not-
I meant no. I'm saying
You're
marketing.
not a developer.
I'm saying marketing, Gretchen. You know, marketing in the sense that, you know, to market. What do marketers do? They sell. They sell the product.
Well, we don't
They-
have a person on ED staff that's got that kind of chutzpah, that charisma. Okay, we don't have it. All right. And there's a fourth person to the team who doesn't work for the town. We need a lawyer who's a commercial real estate lawyer. Okay, who's not a deal breaker, who knows how to put deals together, who knows how to write option agreements. Okay, so go to number 10. I'm going to show examples of the failings. Thayer Mahone. Oh, we have to hear. Thayer Mahone is buying the old Colonel Ledyard School. Thayer Mahone is already here in Groton. That is not a big thing. Whoopee. Okay? That is no big deal. So moving a business from one side of the street to the other is nothing to celebrate. Is nothing. It's just changing one thing. We had a bank over here that moved from the big Y across the street. They built a new building. Okay, they waved the flags. We need to bring in outside things that aren't here.
I beg to differ. You know, Thayer Mahan is a company that is expanding. Their work is directly tied to the defense work that is largely done in the area. A lot of young engineers working there. You know, the population you talked about, people who wouldn't otherwise be in
We need to grow
Groton.
the grand list. That
Absolutely.
doesn't grow the grand list. They're here, okay? Yes, they're down at the airport, okay? They have staff
Once we put the
now.
property back on the tax rolls, it will be taxable.
But then the place they left will be empty, okay? And now I know the
They're
landlord
expanding,
there.
and they still have a need for
But
the
this is not like
for the space.
getting a new company to come here and have their headquarters here. Do you understand?
But again,
Okay?
they're
Or-
not mutually exclusive, and that should be the goal. You know, you talked about having professionals that shake things up, that talk about these things. In my honest opinion, you know, we set the policy, the council, and we should be talking about those big
ED staff
ideas.
has you buffalo. They come. I think they're very worried for their jobs because they've been non-productive.
Well, you
they have
can-
nothing to show. Okay, and I don't want to hear about these secret things. You can't talk. I don't believe any of it's
No,
happening.
but
They brag about lots of things, and you representing us. You're our
Voice.
You look out for us. You got to see through some of this. You're not good at seeing through hiring a broker. Brokers care about themselves. People care about themselves. There's selfishness, okay? And you got to be able to weed through that. And you believe a lot of these people, including our own employees. Number 10B, please. We're going to get through this. Okay, these are 3 medical centers. One's built, 2 are getting built, okay? If you notice the towns, Stonington, Waterford, medical centers.
and Stonington's grand list has skyrocketed.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I told John Reiner years ago, you got to get in contact with, I had the name of the head of the commercial real estate department at Hartford Hospital. I gave him the name. I've been willing to guarantee you he didn't call him. You got to get in it. It takes months, years to work your way in with these people. That's what commercial real estate is all about. It's schmoozing and boozing with these people. I hate to say it. That's the kind of personality. That's what we need working for us. Is that? And you got to.
I don't know about the boozing, but the schmoozing.
Well, you got to take them out. You got to do things. You got to take them to dinner. You got to. That's part of their budget. That's got to be included. That's what it's all about. Okay. So medical centers are fantastic because they don't burden the town. They don't have children. They bring people in for appointments. They're professional. They're clean. They are a thing that brings outsiders. That's the goal of ED, is to bring outsiders in.
Taxable?
Oh, and the stuff inside is taxable, okay? So lucky for Stonington, somebody's doing something right over there. Commercial real estate is all about planting seeds, many seeds. You have to be a juggler in commercial real estate. You got to keep planting seeds. You got to do cold calling. You got to keep calling these people. You got to stay on it. You got to be a workaholic. Commercial real estate is very hard. They don't just happen. It's not the easy button, okay? Number 10C. I just went by here. I took a picture of it. This is down in Old Saybrook. This is pretty new. This is a whole shopping center. You know, so it's called Max's Place, and I guarantee you Max is somebody that's related to the previous owner who wanted their name on it. And it got built. No problem. That's Old Saybrook. Let's go to 10D. 10D, please. This is, I just went by there. Costco, the buildings, the steel is up, okay? I knew the broker on this. I told John, keep harping the broker. He was from down in New Jersey. I don't believe he ever called him. Okay, so 10E, please. But this is what John Reiner spends his time on, the bike path to nowhere. Okay, this is the kind of, bike paths are nice and, but I'm a bicyclist. People here know me as being, I can't do it like I used to. But this is useless even to cyclists, okay? But we spend money, we got to maintain it. Weeds are going to grow into this, the paint's going to have to be, that costs us money. And I'm going to tell you, a developer doesn't care.
And also in countries in Europe, real bike paths or bike lanes that you don't share a right-of-way with pedestrians.
You know what else real
in
cyclists
Amsterdam,
do?
for example,
We ride
they have
on the
their own
street.
right of way.
We ride on the street, okay? This is what I call a boondoggle, okay?
But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have bike lanes.
Well, paint it on the road. The road's there.
Yeah,
That's cheap.
You're preaching to the choir.
That's easy, okay?
And you know what we call that? Tactical urbanism. Quick fix. Get it done.
Right. That guy, Whalen, who draws whales on buildings.
Yes.
In New London, they have
beautiful.
one.
In New Bedford?
Okay.
Yeah.
The one in New London is falling apart. I'm just talking about maintenance. When you do this stuff, you got to prepare that it costs money, okay?
Absolutely.
Or it looks like heck. Okay, number 11. You know, this is funny. The people, we're going to be talking about Post Road residential. I took them on a tour. You don't know this, okay? I met with them. They brought me, they said, you got to see this piece of crap that this town is getting built. And they're all enthusiastic, the one on the left top. This is in front of the town hall. You have to go behind. This is what I call junk apartments. This is the one on Route 12 on the right. And we're going to get into the Balfour Beatty, or the apartment thing, and why they're bad. Okay, next, 12. More, 2,100 units. All the top one on the left is in District 8. This is all District 8. District 8 has more apartments than all of the other districts. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Gretchen. So you're absolutely right. And in the last council meeting that I believe you attended, we talked about how we
I was ridiculed like heck. Okay, all right, go on.
No, and I'm not believe you. You did attend, but we talked about how we agree on mixed-use development.
Well, speak up.
And
Talk about it. You don't need to be nicey with your fellow counselors. You got to start. If you believe that, you got to speak
But
up.
what I'm saying is, when you build high density development, it needs to be built in a way that is pedestrian friendly, that has storefronts at the
Let's
ground
move
level.
on.
And
I'm going to interrupt you. I want a picture up there while you're talking. Number 13, please. It takes 5 seconds in the machine. Okay, this is, I went there. Okay, I was told, what do they think? I'm so stupid that I don't go look at it? So this is the Corsair owned by Post Road Development.
Yeah.
This is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my life, okay? There are no shops in the bottom. They don't do that. They don't do mixed use, okay? So, and I'm going to tell you, so there's my spiel. Apartments, I come from the rental world, okay? That's what my family made a living doing. And I don't like the business because everything, I had a mobile home park, so they owned what they lived in. But I also have owned houses. Renters, I hate to say it, except in New York City on Madison Avenue because it's so expensive to buy, they beat on things because they don't own it. I'm not saying renters are
you
bad.
can't say that about everyone.
Well, you are wrong, okay? That is true.
That's not true.
Apartments deteriorate. And
They do.
And the owners, usually the first developer, needs to put money in. And then that money, if I did a graph, that amount of investment for maintenance goes up, okay? And then they don't want to do it anymore. This is the life of apartments. And so they sell it off. They flip it, okay? And then it goes to a degraded owner, okay? And by the time you're done, it ends up with a slum landlord. This happens over and over and over. And New London isn't quite that, but New London is an example of how a town is ruined by apartments, okay? They have no multiplier effect. Multiplier effect means you're like medical, it attracts outsiders in to spend money here. They go to lunch and they go and do other things while they're here for their doctor's appointment. Apartments is just the people that live in it. It has no multiplier effect, okay? And over time, they start attracting children. Children, I'm not against children, but children cost the town money, and they never make money for a town because kids are so expensive to educate. Okay, and that's the last blow. But you can't discriminate unless you have 55 and older, okay? There's only one positive to apartments. One, they're easy. They're the easy button, okay? Because there are tons of apartment developers out there. You don't need to have Goldman in New York. You can find these developers easily, okay? That's a waste of money. They don't need to go through all the approval like a retail store's got to get approval to do something. They got to do their homework. You don't have to do that. You build it and you start renting because each owner is an individual. There's lots of them, whereas in your commercial, there's a lot less of them in a development. And they have to make sure that this is the right market for them. So businesses are not the easy button like apartments are, okay? They're a lot harder, but they have a much bigger reward. A large company needs to make sure that the place is going to spend a lot of money, because they're going to spend a lot of money, that it's the right place for them. The town needs to look attractive to them, which I'll explain in my next show. Groton has not done a good job at this. That's marketing us to make it attractive to them. This dancing with a town, there's a dance with a developer with a town. It takes time. You have to write option agreements. My next show, I'm going to talk about Concora. You probably never heard of them, where the town failed, okay? Mm-hmm. You got to have a lawyer who knows how to do all this. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to talk about it in this show.
All right.
There's many obstacles to overcome with a commercial developer, but the reward is very high for a town, okay? And helping to put financing, they have to put financing together. Apartments need none of this. They're easy-deasy. But where we've already gone through that they have high risks and they generally deteriorate. Condos, if you want to stay residential, condos are kind of the in-between choice. If I'm going to put a hierarchy, the best is commercial, either entertainment, restaurants, office space, medical, retail, all of that is the best. Number 2 is condos, because people own it, so they keep it up. They're proud of what they do, okay? And condos generally hold value. And another thing is commercial, you can tax what's inside. You can't tax residential inside, okay? You can tax all their equipment, everything inside the building. And generally, condos don't have children. That is generally true. In District 8, leave us alone. Okay? We are overloaded now. You know, Groton, there's state requirement for low income is 10% of the population of apartments. We have 21% in Groton, and most of that is sitting in 8th District. We don't want any more, okay? And I live there, and I used to live right near the property. Let's talk about TIF districts. Number 13B. Okay, this is a complicated chart. So I'm going to talk in the next show more about what a TIF district is. So we've chosen 3. I think one of them has been thrown out, but the council's wishy-washy on explaining this. So you can see there are the things in color, okay? And we don't need districts at all. There's no reason. It's just a political football that you make one area jealous of another. The state does not require us to form districts. You can have them on a first come, first served basis. Somebody brings a project, if it sounds good, meets our criteria, give it to them. Who cares where it is? Okay? Let people come in. The whole town can be a TIF district, okay? And this is another John Reiner's non-purposeful idea, another area where he's failed. Now, let's go back to the graph, the chart. Number 13B, please. Okay, so I went ahead and called our tax assessor and asked her, I want to know, for what I know to be the biggest communities that contribute to the grand list, who are they? So of course, where the Roman numeral 1 is up by the big box stores is number 1. Down by here, where the shopping center is 2, and you can see the numbers there, and 3 is Mystic. Well, you don't make 1 or 3 a TIF district. It does. You got to decide. You want to have success, the highest probability of success locations, or do you want to try to? I don't think we're in a position to be turning 184 around. 184 has no hope because it's too far from I-95, and so why wasn't either 1 or 3 chosen? It makes no sense. But you were taught, you believe John Reiner, you think he's an expert in this, okay? No one with rational thinking would have done this. Nobody, okay? So now we're going to, number 13C. Okay, now we're going to overlay. I told you we're going to show a chart with incomes within Groton. Okay, so they're not scaled the same, but you can see the highest income areas are around 95 from New London. They're in blue, in Mystic. And if you overlay where you chose the TIF districts, they are the lowest income areas. Developers don't, this is understanding what a developer wants. Developers want to be where people have the greatest increase in income. They don't want to be in the white areas there. They're not interested. They don't want to be in the pink areas or the red areas. They want to be in the blue areas, of which we have 2 in Groton, okay? And so this is your economic development team coming up with this, and it's destined for failure. It is not going to work because they don't understand the premise of what developers want, okay? And that's why we need to change who we have in these very important positions, okay? So now I'm going to, so I'm going to cut some short because we're going to run out of time. I'm going to provide some conclusion for economic development. Okay, 1, our team has accomplished nothing in the basically 5 years they've been together. Okay, they're getting over an average of 2.7% each year in the 5 years they've been together, when the cost of living has been far less increase. If we had no ED team, we would be ahead. In 5 years, $500,000 a year they've cost us. That's $2.5 million. If we didn't have any ED team, we would be ahead by $2.5 million. Okay. And due to the complacency of our ED team, we have lost medical centers, retail, office to surrounding towns. I've shown pictures of where things are happening in other towns. And I didn't show New London. They got that Texas Roadhouse. They got the Harbor Freight Tools. They didn't come to Groton. Okay, things are happening all around us, but we built 8th Mile bike paths. Okay, that doesn't pay taxes. John Burnt, in his 3 years here, has not built a strong ED team because he's not an ED person himself. He doesn't have a background in this. And I think we need a town manager that has a background in economic development too. And we need to have these people replaced with people that know how to do this, okay? TIF districts should not be districts, and they have to be located in areas that have the best probability for success. That makes sense. Where it has the data that these developers, these investors want. And you have to understand, you have to think like a developer, okay? And you can't think like a town. You got to think the way they think. And I'm going to say this, we didn't cover one area, but land is limited. And I'm going to mention my next show is going to have the William Silly School property part. And that is the best property we own. Not because I own in front of it, because it has visibility to I-95, it has a view of the river, it has incredible access, it has utilities including 3-phase power and gas out front. These are highly unusual things, but you, the rest of the council, Leon Obrey doesn't know this. John Reiner, they don't know what's important to a developer. That's important. To have a site of that size with a view of a river, of water, is such a, towns would dream of having that, can only dream of having that. But no, you want to put apartments, which can go anywhere, okay? Don't abuse it. You have a gift, use it, okay? And economic development should not be used as a weapon to harm people, and it has been. And forming these TIF districts does that, okay? It pits us all against each other. We're a team. We want to all pull together, okay? So this leads us to the third part of the show. And that's the way this council conducts itself. So I'm going to show a series of clips from past council meeting, more recent one. And let's listen to the clip, and comments can get made after. Number 24. Oh, this is from January 2nd, 2019.
There is nothing I despise more than a politician who creates legislation escalating budgets that they themselves do not have to pay or live under the same burdens as their constituency. Councilor Obrey, you meet that definition.
Ms. Chipperini, excuse me, but you please cease with the personal attacks.
Well, it's the truth. In fact, you
It's
have
not
told
appropriate.
people
Thank
it's
you.
the truth. It's fact. In fact, you have told people that you can never afford to live at Oddfellows if you had to pay the taxes for your place. It's convenient that the rest of us are here to pay your taxes instead. I have no problems in Groton anywhere. I see no problems in Groton anywhere for need of this type of oppressive legislation. You choose not to do such a thing through zoning because that requires public input. Instead, you use the sneaky method to control
You
our
have 1
personal
minute.
property rights. You are practicing autocratic government, the opposite of a true democracy. Autocratic governments most often result in its citizens becoming destitute. What is your end game for this town? To own all properties due to tax and penalty seizures? At the rate we're going, Groton government is going to be the only thing left here.
Your time is up. Thank you.
It is not. That was not a minute.
That's 5 minutes. Is there anyone else who is here to speak? There's no one else signed up.
Stop me short. You did not give me 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And you did that on purpose.
I don't know if you were there that night. Just to give a little background, this is talking about adding
I was
on
there.
not to have boats or machinery on your property, okay, which is ridiculous, to add to the blight ordinance, which you probably voted for, right, with the rest of them. I don't know if you remember. So I just want to go through, if you time it, and I'm sure you believe me that I did, when she was correct at the 1 minute mark, but she was not She gave me 20 more seconds instead of 60 seconds. I would have finished my presentation if I was allotted the whole time. And this is unbelievable.
And for the record, I did vote for it.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have, okay? So let's give the reply to this, number 25. This is our experiment here.
Just so you know, I have a couple other properties I do pay taxes on. And I beg
Excuse
your
me.
pardon?
Excuse me. The floor belongs to the councilor right now.
Thank you. I own a house. I own a building. I pay taxes on them both.
Let me give a little, I focused on what I was there for, but the main issue, Councilor Aundre lives in Oddfellows. She does not pay taxes on her home, as your parents do, as I do. I pay about $6,000 a year. I would love to not have to have that money in my pocket, okay? She owns a house that she rents, yeah, outside of Oddfellows. She owns maybe some things that she rents. But if you look at one-on-one, apples and apples, she does not pay taxes on her home. And I got kicked out for bringing that up. You cannot function in government. And we're going to talk about your belief in participation. And I think that's great, charrettes. I agree with you. But charrettes doesn't happen in Groton. They don't want to hear it. You haven't learned that yet, Aundre, but it hasn't happened yet. A free society can't exist this way. This is not free. This is what communism and socialism is all about, especially communism. It's to shut down free speech, okay? And this is wrong. This is the beginning of it. And she should recuse herself because she does not pay taxes on her home. When she is voting on any budget issue, she should recuse herself because she doesn't have to be under the same burdens as the rest of us.
I don't agree with that.
She doesn't pay taxes on her home. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with the fact that you
Does Oddfellows
have to-
home pay taxes to the town?
If you're a resident of this town, you should be able to run, to serve in public office,
Now,
to serve on any
you
board
and
or
I
commission.
disagree on that. I think that you should not be voting on what
So if you're
you-
not a property owner, you believe they should not be allowed to.
If you don't pay
participate in
taxes,
government?
I don't think you should be able to vote on a budget. You should not be putting burdens on people that you don't have to suffer the same burden. That's only fair.
That brings
Okay.
us back to the 17th and 18th century.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
No, it doesn't. We should all be subjected to the same thing. She should pay taxes on her home. And that should be
Well,
revisited.
my ancestors, way back
This
when.
has nothing to do with your
certainly-
ancestor.
Well, I'm
She
saying
should-
is
and I should have
your
been allowed to
assertion,
finish
Gretchen,
my-
your
Do you believe
assertion,
I should have been allowed to
your
finish?
assertion is that only taxpayers should be
I've
able to
always had
serve in
that
public
assertion.
office.
I've always had that. Yes.
That's
that premise.
unconstitutional at this
Okay.
point now.
She should not be voting on what I have to be burdened with, what other people are
She is a
burdened with.
taxpayer in this town.
She's not a taxpayer on her home, and she should say that. She should. So her answer there should have been, "You're right, Ms. Chipperini. You're right. I don't pay tax in my home, but I believe I should qualify because I own other properties elsewhere." She didn't acknowledge that she doesn't pay on her home because she knows that's not a good subject. Okay, and I should not have been clicked out for it. Okay, let's put Aundre on the shining light here, number 26.
I'd like to align my remarks with Councilor Heed, though I must say traffic density does not drive development. People do. One day cars will be autonomous and will be able to get around without humans actually having to drive them. And it's the car, obviously, we don't have grocery stores for those vehicles. We have them because of people. And so, if, like how you said, mixed-use development, that has people living in the apartments or townhomes above head and with storefronts at the ground level, that kind of development, drives development. And so, the TIP district will enable that kind of.
Okay, Aundre. Well, I'm going to say, I hope you somewhat regret what you said there, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay?
Mixed-use development drives
We're
development.
not talking about that. We're talking about autonomic, cars that drive themselves. That's what
Autonomous
autonomous,
vehicles?
I have
They're
trouble
happening
saying it.
right now.
All right. Let me ask you
Give us
some
10, 15 years, there will
Let
be
me ask you, that
autonomous
has
vehicles.
no relevancy to economic development. Will driving a car change the need for people to go places? Will driving self-driving cars change the
It'll
fact?
fundamentally change the way
Answer
humans...
the question. No, I'm an engineer, okay? I love the idea of autonomous cars, so I know that,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You're not telling me something I don't know, okay? I just want you to listen to the question. Will having a self-driving car change the need for people to go places? Well, people still drive, get around when there's autonomous cars.
Yes, people will still need to get around. People will still need to go to
You
grocery
answer
stores.
That's
People will still
right.
need to
That's
buy
not going
clothes.
to change. That's right. So you answered the question. Number 2, what does the use of self-driving cars have to do with destination choices? You just answered it. You said people still have to go to the grocery store. They're still going to have to buy clothes. They still got to do everything in their life. Even if the car drives itself or not, they still got to get there. Okay? Do you think we'll still have highways when we have autonomous cars?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
there's going to be these high-density roads that are still going to carry a lot of cars, but the cars are going to drive themselves, okay? Right? You agree with that?
But our local arterials will change.
No, people will still, no relevancy whatsoever. To add all this up, self-driving cars will not change people's desire to go to a certain place. You just said that, no, which is what commercial developers care about. They care that you still have to go to a certain area. They don't
Mind you-
care how they get there. They're not in, it's going to change mechanics, how they fix your car, all that's going to change. I agree with you. But it's not going to change the fact that people still have to go to shopping centers, they still got to buy things, they still have to go to doctor's appointments, they still got to go to the movies, they still going to do things. How they get there has no impact on their need to go there. So developers don't care how you got there. They care about that you got to go there, okay? Autonomous cars have nothing, it's not going to affect the development business whatsoever, okay? And that's what they care about. Our shopping centers are still going to be destinations. How you get there, the developer doesn't care. So if the car drives itself or not,
But the council should care because that absolutely impacts the way our town operates. Certainly.
No, with the
yeah.
same roads, the same everything. Autonomous
at
cars
every
aren't
level.
tracks that,
No.
which I think are cool.
My point is you have to, well, certainly we are, it's our responsibility to maintain roads. It's also our responsibility to think ahead, think to the future, knowing that people, young people especially, want to be able to walk around town, want to be
Nothing to
able to
do
bike
with
around
autonomous
town,
cars. We're
want to
talking
be
about
able to
traffic
not have to
density.
rely on a motor vehicle to get to and from wherever they need to
right.
get.
We
They can
agree
take
with
the
that.
bus.
We agree
They
with
can
that.
potentially take a commuter rail
Okay.
train.
But it's
that-
still the developers. We're talking about developers here. Remember, we got to think like a developer.
They're doing it in Stanford, where the
Developers-
grand list has gone up.
I don't
They're-
disagree with that part of it, the walking part of it. I don't disagree with you, okay? But I do disagree with you that developers are going to continue until we are Star Trek and we can beam ourselves, until we get rid of the car. We're still going to care about traffic density. You got to get rid of the car part because people are still going to go to Stop and Shop up here to to that shopping center. If how they get there is irrelevant to the fact that they got to get there. Okay, I don't know if you see my point. So it's not
But
going
my
to change.
point is, my priority is not building parking and parking lots. My priority is building developments that folks can live in,
All right,
that
but
folks can
traffic
shop in,
density is still going to be because
places
people are going
that
to
folks
drive
can
in.
work in.
I agree with you. I agree with that. I don't disagree
I
with
know
you.
I'm
You and
preaching
I
to
are
the
on
choir.
the same track.
I know.
But you're not on track with the rest of your team. Okay. Okay, let's move to a different subject. On July 2nd, I think, the old Mystic people came and were angry, right?
Yes.
They were angry. I was there, okay? You were there. The council sat there and listened. Didn't like it, but listened. Didn't interrupt them, didn't cause any issue, just listened.
And I did want to say I'll be getting my palm card soon to go door to door for
good,
the
good.
election. And,
yeah.
and Bailey Hill will be the first neighborhood I'll
Okay,
knock on. So
great.
it's
I'll be
important.
glad to talk to
There's
you.
been no neighborhood has spoken to the council like Bailey Hill has. And so I think
Oh, I
it's our
don't agree with you.
responsibility.
Old Mystic did, and you went, you met their, you didn't do it. You didn't change the zone to mixed use. So did the council, on that night, August or July 2nd,
Mm-hmm.
did you ask any of them to come to the podium after they spoke?
Say again?
Did you ask any, they spoke, a whole bunch of them spoke.
Yes.
And this is a yes/no
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Did you ask any of them after they spoke to come up to the podium?
After they spoke?
Yes. The public session, they spoke. Many of them spoke. Did you ask them to return to the podium to question them?
I did not personally, but I know another counselor did.
Well, they
I
did
believe
not.
it was
They did not. They did not ask anybody to come to the podium.
Oh.
Okay, you'll have to believe me on that. Nobody was asked to come up to the podium.
Well, I believe Councilor Franco inquired about.
You're
the-
wrong. She did not.
Do you have the tape?
Yep.
Let's
We
play it.
got it all. Wait, we don't have it here.
Oh, all right.
I can't show everything. They did not ask one of those people to come up to the podium. Okay?
I wish you had the
Okay.
tape.
Well, they did not. Did anyone get kicked out for expressing their beliefs that night? Did they
No.
No. Did anyone say that they were acting selfish? Any of the counselors say to one of those people from Old Mystic, you're acting selfish?
I don't believe so.
Okay, you got it right, okay? I've looked at these
Yeah.
clips many times. So number 27.
Good evening. It's Knaut.
Knaut, thank you.
Yes. And my name is Elaine Knaut, and I live on 99 Phoenix Drive. I am presenting to you tonight a petition with signers from the 8th and a small portion of the 1st districts that are within the vicinity of William Seeley School property. The petition reads as follows. Petition to resist the construction of barrack-type apartments only for the William Seeley School property and to find a developer to build a mixed-use development as promised to the neighborhood at the zone change meeting for the property on 8/2 of 2017. We, the undersigned, are the residents of the neighborhood District 8 and 1, near the former William Seeley School. Some months ago, many of us attended a zoning meeting by which the William Seeley School property was changed from a residential zone to a commercial zone. The planner, John Reiner, and others promised us that under no circumstances would the entrance to the property use Walker Hill Road as the main entrance to a project located on school property. In fact, he stated it would only be used as an emergency entrance. We were also promised that all efforts would be made to develop it as a mixed-use zone, which did not exist at the time. As a result of this promise, we did not oppose the zone change for this promise to be fulfilled. The William Seeley School property and the contiguous Pleasant Valley Road property with entrances onto Route 12 must be developed together. None of this has occurred. And we understand that the town is interested in contracting with an apartment-only developer named Post Road Residential, who only builds barrack-type apartments to singly develop the William Seeley School property. We have no interest in this part of Groton being wrongly used as a short-term success to flaunt an election at election time at the cost of districts 8 and 1. As a result, the undersigned is opposed to any contract or agreement with Post Road Development and any similar type of developer who wants the town to adhere to using the premises made at the zone change meeting and use this special property for its highest and best use as a mixed-use development with egress onto Route 12. The petition contains 160 signatures.
Let's go right to number 28.
We are on to Roman numeral 6, responses to citizens petitions, and Councilor Franco wanted to speak.
No, I want to clarify what was said by Ms. Knox. Would you mind coming back up to the podium? You had said barrack style housing or barrack
Yes.
apartments. Can you just define that,
Barrack
please?
style is as on the picture that was shown you. Very plain on the outside, cookie cutter, balconies and windows. Basically looking like, as someone would walk by, a low-income housing development.
Does that clarify?
I think so.
Aundre, I've been going to council meetings since way before you were born. And I have never, ever, ever been asked to go back up to the podium in my life. And this was done as harassment to this woman. This woman's an ordinary citizen. She's not me out there. This was done to antagonize, okay? So let's go to number 29. Do you know where that is,
Yes.
Andre? Where is it?
Route 12.
That's right. What is it?
Those are the barracks at the subbase for
Right.
the cadets.
So wouldn't you
cadets,
think,
the sailors?
Ms. Rachel Franco should know what barracks look like as a counselor in a town with many barracks?
I think she was seeking to clarify how Miss, I don't want to pronounce her name incorrectly. Knott.
Yes.
Was just trying to clarify what Miss Knott was implying by barrack style
Let's
housing.
go to number 30. '30, please. Okay, this is Corsair Apartments aerial view down in New Haven. I see similarities here to those Navy barracks we just showed, okay? And I think a term barracks is commonly used to show a building, to describe a building that is, has no creativity to it, is one window after another, all in a row, has no architectural interest, which this definitely does not. Would you want this in your backyard? I don't think so. Why don't we try to put this, ram this down Noank's throat on the Noank school property? Why don't we go and try to put this in Old Mystic, something that looks as hideous as that? We're being criticized there that night because we didn't want this in our backyard. And also, following what you're saying, it doesn't have, it's not mixed use. These people don't do mixed use. It's apartments all the way. Can you imagine having that? And we've got 2,100 units over in the Navy House or Belfort Beatty and another bunch going in, okay? It's very clear to me what barracks are, okay? And I think this was done to chastise. Okay, let's go to number 31, please.
I do have to point out that saying low-income housing is mildly offensive to me. I don't know if you guys have been down through Branford Manor. They have changed their whole outlook. So saying, but I just want to make sure that it gets out there. That's offensive. I don't know if anybody on TV was offended, but I am for someone stating.
Well, shame on Councilor Parker.
Please don't say that.
Yes, shame on her. Back in 2017, we did a zone change meeting of the school property, the Williams-Lee School, from residential to commercial. These same neighbors, many of them showed up then. Okay, I went through the whole thing. We have an audio from it, and John Reiner, our head of planning and head of economic development, must have said a minimum 5 times low-income housing. And it ensured the neighborhood that there would not be any no-income housing. It is a term that is used by professional real estate people to designate, to describe a certain type of housing. It's not meant to be derogatory, it's not meant to be anything. Matter of fact, the state of, we have legislation using those words. And this is what scares me about this council. We can't even get past the basics of understanding terms of development. That's a term. There's high-income housing. There's all kinds. There's single-family housing. There's all kinds of terms to describe housing.
Affordable housing.
Okay? No, it's called low-income housing. You're absolutely wrong. Okay? It is called low-income housing. So our trained professionals from our staff are allowed to use these words. But this woman was reprimanded for using those words. She's not a professional. She's an amateur by a long shot. She just lives in Groton, okay? This is
Councilor
wrong.
Parker was very respectful.
But she
and
was
if I'm-
wrong. She was wrong. She should not be reprimanding anybody from using, I use the
She
term
didn't
all the time.
reprimand anyone.
Yes, she
She
did.
respectfully.
So the Old Mystic people came in, were angry. The William Sidley neighborhood came in, was angry over almost the same kinds of things. Okay, and it's interesting. They don't want mixed use. The William Sidley School neighborhood, or the 9th District, they want.
Then let's
they
build some
want.
mixed use.
Okay, not easy. Okay.
Let's do it. I never said it was going to be easy.
Okay, so let's go to number 32, please.
To the Walker Hill neighbors that are here, first and foremost, thank you for coming. There's no way we know what is happening on the ground unless either you show up here or we show up at your doorstep. So I think that's incredibly important, especially as the process moves forward. I'm a big believer in the concept of charrettes, you know, that you can go to, you can participate in with your town on developing the neighborhood that you live in and raising your families in, and so it's important that you are involved in the process, and because no one is impacted it more, impacted by it more than you are. If you've been following in the newspaper, originally in Old Mystic there was going to be a mixed use zone, and many of the neighbors spoke up during that process, and ultimately it was not designated a mixed use zone, and that's in large part because, again, neighbors were participated in the process in an open and transparent way. So I think all of the councilors here are in agreement on that, and at the very least you have that pledge from me that we can make this process as transparent and as inclusive as possible. And I too am a big believer in mixed use. Obviously, where appropriate, but I think that's also a shared goal of this council is to promote mixed use all throughout Groton, because that can include home ownership and also commercial businesses that you can grab a coffee or a sandwich in, and that's very important. So, and it's great for the environment too. So, but I look forward to hearing more from your concerns and ultimately meeting many of your fellow neighbors as well.
All right, Aundre. Congratulations. You were the best speaker on the council that night. You did a 25-year-old. It's amazing. So you did very well. But it's not realistic, what you said. I'm a believer in charrettes, totally. This town doesn't believe in charrettes, okay? On my next show, I'm going to go over what a previous developer with Kincora. We fought Kincora for other reasons a lot. He wasn't real. He had they were fake, okay? I went to their they didn't exist. I warned the council about this. I warned the art team. We were not listened to. And they moved ahead and signed a contract with them and wasted a year, okay? So the charrettes doesn't work, apparently it doesn't work for District 8, it only works for other districts. We're not listened to, and that's why we're angry, okay? Why any neighborhood would be angry if they've been ignored like this. So you got to learn, Groton, you're young, you're idealistic, that's good stuff. But Groton doesn't do charrettes, okay? If we waited until this went to the normal planning process, it's a done deal. That's how it's always worked in Groton. That should change. As a counselor, you can work on that. It's a done deal by then. It's all done way before by the council, and that's happened to us once already, and it's going to happen again if we didn't attack it early enough.
Well, then it's
okay?
time to hit the reset button.
You're right. You are right. Okay, let's go to number 33.
I have been part of the selection committee for some of the properties that may be proposed for Groton, and I want to tell you, they're not what you're talking about at all. They're something that you would be proud of, and something that we could be proud of, to be part of bringing that to Groton. There is a housing need. It is not for single-family houses. I'm a real estate agent. I know how much our market has changed. And our market is not looking for single-family houses. They're looking for simple living. You may not agree with it, but it's true. I wish it wasn't. I'd be doing a whole lot better.
It's a big fat, huh? Huh? Nobody has talked about single-family housing. No one. The neighborhood, none of us are in favor of the whole area of single families. That's not the topic here. I don't know what planet she lives on, okay? You're on the right planet. She's on she's a residential broker. She knows nothing about commercial development. They're two very different professions, commercial and residential brokerage. Nothing to do with each other. And why can't she say the words like you did? Mixed use. Mixed use. They don't come out of her lips. They come out of your lips. They don't come out of anybody's lips. And I predicted, if you watch one of my old shows, the election show, I said, there's always someone really running the town. And I predicted it would be Leon Aundre. And guess what? It is. Okay? I turned out right. A shadow government. It's Leon. Every council has one. And it's not the mayor. Okay? Okay, let's go to, and she doesn't agree with you, obviously. She's not mixed use at all. Okay? And I'll get into, she's a broker. She's a residential broker, okay? Let's go to number 34.
Whatever is chosen, there'll be public meetings, there'll be input, and I'm quite sure it'll be residential, not commercial, and I think it'll be an addition to your neighborhood.
Okay. She doesn't agree with you at all, Aundre. She doesn't, this flies in the face of everybody else's thinking. And I think she's influencing John Reiner. She's pushing the buttons. And they're going in this direction of apartments. Because remember, apartments are the easy button. They're easy, they're fast, they're quick. And I skipped a part here. Apartments, she wants them because you can get success fast, and it helps to get elected to say you've done something. And of course, John Reiner wants to keep his job. The whole crew does. They have no successes. Okay, let's go to number 35.
I think that this group is taking great pride in trying to put the appropriate things in the appropriate places. I will tell you that it's probably not the correct thing to say, but I think Gretchen's remarks are self-serving.
Oh, Councilor Aundre, please refrain from making those kinds of comments.
Well, I made it. And I meant
This is an absolute, not only an insult to me, what she said, it's an insult to all the people who showed up that night. What does she think? These people of District 8, that's how we think that they're so stupid to show up because of me? I'm going to tell you, if apartments went in front of there, I would probably benefit, okay? I would draw attention to my property. But this is my hometown, and it's not a good use for that property. It's a lousy use, okay? Because you can put apartments anywhere. You can put them out on 170. You can put them anywhere, okay? You can, on 84. The people from this district came for the same reason as the old Mystic people. But they weren't called that they were selfish. They weren't put up in the front to be lambasted because of what they called something. They were there because they didn't like it. That is there's nothing wrong with selfishness. Okay, that's not a crime. Okay, and you have to accept that. People are going to think about their own property values, and they have every right to do that. All right, and I think I don't want to defend myself because I look like I'm benefiting, but I think there's a high, and that I should be worked with, okay, on this. You would never, I'm going to say it again, make an attempt to bring a Corsair like that picture I showed you, the barracks. You would never attempt to bring that to Old Mystic. You would never attempt to bring that to Knowing. You would never attempt to bring that to Mystic, okay? And why District 8? Why do you come after us? We're not stupid, okay? You want to say something?
Well, we need to hit the reset button. We need to go back to the drawing board.
You are right.
But
you need reset with capable people. We need talent here. We need a leader that's talented. That's a different type of skill set than we have now. We need economic development people that are talented.
Well, why
Okay.
can't the town host a charrette where, residents
Sure,
and Bailey Hill...
You're going to be beaten up on that because you're not going to get your
where the
fellow...
Bailey Hill
council-
neighborhood can come on in and along with
I
folks
agree.
from throughout the town and talk about what development looks like in not just the William Seeley School
Well, we will
parcel,
always
but
oppose
it was identified,
apartment
it was
only.
already identified that the adjoining parcel will contribute even more to economic development in the town if both
Let me
areas
tell you,
are
I
developed.
skipped all that part. It'll be in the next show. 'Cause
We're gonna
we
give
have
a little
limited
sneak
time,
peek.
Okay, I skipped that, but I'm also an engineer. I've done a lot of development. For practical purposes, these properties need to be blended. And I don't want to get into particulars of it. You can take the blast rock from the school and blend it in so you don't have to remove it, okay? There's reduction of cost to a developer for doing it together, okay? Putting stuff through my property is easier. I don't have the ledge that the school has. The school is a pile of rock, okay? I know all this. All right, you're going to get a much higher quality project if the walkability will be much better. There's a difference in elevation between the property and
Significant.
Significant. That can be all blended. It will be like an amphitheater. It's beautiful for development. As an engineer, this is a beautiful thing for development because we can fill it in, okay? And we can put all the systems in, infrastructure as it's being filled in, okay? But nobody listens. You think John Reiner knows any of this stuff? He doesn't know any of it. He doesn't think that way. He leaves early. Every day that office is shut down at 3 o'clock, for God's sakes, and he's off mountain biking, okay? We're gonna get into this in the next show, okay?
Well, I will say I've called that man at 7 in the morning.
Well, I didn't say
he's
morning,
at the
I
office.
said then. So let me talk about Leon Obrey here. I've known Leon Obrey for decades, okay? My family ran a mobile home park that was on the front property.
Well, no character assassination here.
Okay.
Leanne is
it's my show.
she's a
I'm
good
going to
person.
talk about it.
Leanne's a good person.
Okay.
A very good person.
At any one time, I had 75 rentals at any one time when we were in business, okay? So brokers get hired by people moving to the
We're
area.
here to talk about the future,
I
Gretchen.
am going
Let's
to.
talk about the
It's my
future.
show.
I know.
Okay, she
I
was
understand.
on here. She criticized
But-
me. I have a right to.
But we need to talk about the future. We need to talk about addressing the very issues that you're have
Well,
identified.
we will in my
The
next
fact-
show, okay? I'm going to finish this, so you're wasting time. Okay, she was a broker. She would bring tenants to me. Not any tenant that she ever brought to me did I not have to evict. She brought me terrible tenants. She had no vision. I told her, Leon, this is how you find tenants. I'm trying to give, just like I did with the town manager, and just like, no, we're going to finish this.
Well, we're-
okay? She is a terrible residential broker. She's selfish. She has the right to call me selfish. She cares about getting a commission, and all brokers do, okay? She doesn't care what happens after. When I get a tenant, they got to be a good tenant, and there's ways, a good broker knows how to do that, okay? So I We fired her. She could never bring us another tenant, okay? And she is hardly the person to be on a committee, a subcommittee, to find commercial development. She doesn't have, she would love for another 400 apartments to go there. That gives her more business, okay? Because they could probably keep 2 brokers going full time, all right? And she might be one of them, all right? So it adds to her repertoire, all right? Brokers like rentals. So let's go to number 36.
I just wanted to say in reference to what might come up to William Seeley School, I would hope that you might have some faith in the integrity of the people that sit up here to try to do what's best for Groton. I hear what you're saying, even though somebody's not listening to me now in the back that I'm directing my conversation towards, but that's okay.
No, we have no faith. And in the next show, I'm going to go through the Concora fiasco, okay? This Corsair, this was known what this neighborhood was promised by John Reiner 2 years ago, and I suggest you go listen to it. I have the audio. We were promised over and over. He said, quote, John Reiner, we hear you neighborhood loud and clear. There was a petition back then. It got 77 signatures, very similar to the one that got 160 signatures, okay? We would never we will bring all traffic through to Route 12. We will not dump it in the neighborhood. He even said, when we have a mixed-use zone, we will change the zoning to mixed use. That is our goal. We have a mixed-use zone. You wanted to do it in Old Mystic. I don't see anybody doing it. No one has come to me for anything. Okay, I was going to show.
For the record, I've never personally advocated for mixed use in Old Mystic. So you wanted to do that.
Well, when I say you're the face of the council.
I'm not the face. I'm not the mayor.
Okay.
I'm not the mayor. But
isn't it advantageous to the town? Let me tell you, when you have success begets success in real estate.
Indeed.
In commercial real estate. Once we get
the multiplier effect.
It's a multiplier effect among developers. Once we get one project under our belt, we are now in the limelight. We will be looked at by others.
And to your point about Perkins Farms, that's exactly what happened in Stonington after the announcement of the Hartford Healthcare building.
You got to get the ball rolling. Apartments don't do that. Apartments don't get the ball. This is your best chance of big success, is this property, because of its location, size, utilities, all of that. I've done a lot, and that's going to be gone through in the next show. I brought a broker here, previous council, to co-broke. They treated her so terrible. I'll never forget the night. I was there out front because it was executive session. She walked out. This is a very nice lady. She walked out and said, I don't want anything to do with Groton ever again, okay? John Reiner has never brought me a developer. I brought Concora. Who do you think? I brought Goldman and York as consultants. They hired Camoin instead. And by the way, Camoin, you're not listening to one word they say. They say mixed use, okay? Very good report. We paid too much for it, but very good report. I have never been approached by anybody. Since that 2017 zone change, I have not received one phone call from anybody in the economic development area of Groton. Not one phone call to work together.
Well, I pledge this to you. I'm going to talk to John Reiner, and I'm going to tell him, well, actually, I'm going to talk to John Burt, because he reports to John Burt.
Yeah, I know, you can't talk to him.
But that's not my, I'm not the implementer of policy. The council collectively sets the policy. So I'm not here to micromanage any director, any coordinator, any manager.
You gotta get your team on track, okay? And hopefully they're gonna watch this show. 37. I'm putting this up to bring some humor, and it's the last part. This is a 4th of July parade, the last one. It says, Groton, America's hometown. Who the heck, who's on Kool-Aid who wrote that? I'd like to have some of that Kool-Aid. Nobody Groton's in a bad shape. Nobody should want to be, have this their hometown. I'm not happy with America, this being hometown. You're laughing, you see? Okay? This is unbelievable to say. This is arrogance beyond. So, I'd like to, so I'm going to say a bunch of words in conclusion about this council. My observation: actionless, ineffective, confused, arrogant, inexperienced, angry, selfish, complacent, procrastinators, ignorant, clueless, and unsavvy. That's my words to describe the last almost 2 years of this council. Not good. I don't have any good words to say, okay? I wish I did. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I don't really care. I've had Democrats on this show and I've had Republicans. I don't care, okay? But that's what it's been. You've done nothing, zero, to change the and I'm predicting, I don't predict there's going to be another landslide, okay? What happened to the Republicans is going to happen to the Democrats because you don't have anything to show for it. This council has a lot to fix in a very short time. Thank you, Aundre. You're very brave to come on, okay? I appreciate it. I beat on you pretty hard, I agree, but I think you learned a lot. And I think you're shocked to learn all these things, and hopefully it does some good. And I want to have people contact me at shakeupgroton@gmail.com. I need help. I'll be doing another show before the election. I don't think Aundre is going to come on again. Because these are extremely important on economic development, to fill in all the blanks that I skipped tonight.
There is a lot I'd like to
that
talk
I
about.
skipped. Well, if he wants to come in, you can come on again. So until next time, shake up Groton. Oh, we got to get the bell. Thank you.